We're doing the book Silence as Yoga by Swami Paramananda Ji Maharaj. Now, you have seen this book before, and I'm sure you are enjoying the book also. Today, we are going to do the last chapter of this book, chapter number 6, which says The Eternal Presence. Maharaj begins with a small little poem by Beyond the Sunrise. The poem says, Silence in the heart of all things, sound the fluttering of its pulse, which the fever and the spasm of the universe convulse. Every sound that breaks the silence only makes it more profound, like a crash of deafening thunder in the sweet blue stillness dawn. Let thy soul walk softly in thee as a saint in heaven, for to be alone with silence is to be alone with God. Now let's see what Maharaj has to say about this eternal presence. Outer conditions and circumstances have very little influence upon us when we have the grasp of eternal things. When the eternal presence becomes a reality to us, we find our strength and inspiration even in the midst of the greatest sorrow. Now, not only can we meet all difficulties with calmness, but we have even a sense of joyousness as we face them. Instead of being thawed by them, we come to regard them as blessings. The power of the Spirit also rules over matter. If through the meditative life we gain higher understanding and learn to manifest our spiritual nature, material things will affect us very little. All the small undesirable elements which now disturb us will vanish and this world will become heavenly. Who makes the world heavenly? Human beings. Through their conduct and superior understanding, they can change the whole atmosphere of the world. If, instead of seeing only the material and the changeable, we begin to feel more related to the eternal and unchanging, we shall awaken to a new sphere of consciousness. Yet, although it may seem new, it was always there, for it is eternally existent. In the hours of loneliness or perplexity, if we can be conscious of that great presence, we shall never feel lost. Those who cultivate such habits are never disconnected from the source and they become invincible. Evil does not overcome them, they overcome evil. When we reach this state, we possess such superior strength that even the most aggressive person feels powerless before us. We cannot convince a man or turn him from his weakness merely by arguing with him or fighting him, but often we completely transform him by showing him something higher. We see this in the lives of truly great men. They are full of love and brotherly sympathy and compassion, and above all, of the spirit of the infinite. The small things naturally have no importance for them, so they are able to meet their fellow men on a higher plane and they call out what is noblest in them. When we evolve this consciousness, not only do we deal a death blow to our own unhappiness, but also we remove a part of the world's unhappiness because we strike another note. To be able to do this, however, we must go deep into our own nature. It is not a matter of talking and theorizing, it is a matter of finding. And where? Where can we gain access to divinity except in our own soul? How can we make acquaintance with our inner powers except within ourselves? And this is done most effectively when our whole nature becomes silent. And one pointed. As soon as this new vista opens before us, we begin to be imbibed with a new understanding. A more expanded consciousness dawns in our heart, and it is through this that we are freed from all petty feelings and limitations. All the ethical lessons we learn through books or scriptures about love and charity and service never seem to us really true and never become an inherent part of our daily life until we gain this large consciousness. But when we have gained it, we do not fear death even, because we overcome death through a new consciousness of life, a life which is undying. We have no more fear of anything because we have found that one who stands supreme and that one is our own. This consciousness of the presence of divinity or God is not a matter of name and form. It makes no difference by what name we call him. It is an inner awakening, a spiritual conception. When we attain it, we drop all dispute regarding the nature of God or the nature of the soul. We believe in God because we know him. We call him all loving because we have proved his all loving nature in our own soul. We speak of him as almighty and infinite because we have found him to be so. Only when our spiritual idol has thus become a reality do we become religious. We do not become religious merely by belonging to a creed or church, however lofty or noble. It is by finding this reality within us do we become noble. We can never convince anyone else regarding our spiritual faith until we have convinced ourselves, and when we are absolutely convinced, we shall not need to go about preaching our faith. We shall do our preaching by our silent action, our conduct, our life, our every thought. Our very presence will preach. Example teaches much more than words. The greatest lesson we learn about self control are not from books, but from someone who has subdued his passions and lower propensities and shows complete mastery of himself. That living example makes an impression, and we carry that impression with us. It is a matter of living and to live truth. We must find it directly for ourselves. That is the purpose of spiritual study and practice. Devotion, prayer, meditation, philosophic discrimination all help us towards our spiritual upliftment, and we may have direct perception of our ideal. If we do not accomplish that, all our efforts are vain. That is, if we lose sight of the fundamental fact that realization must be our aim and goal, we may go on adding our superficial efforts to another, but they will bring very small results. The spirit of reality must be kept alive in us. We must hold fast to the sense of eternal presence. But no one can do this for us. We must do it for ourselves. Let us try in all earnestness. We own it to ourselves, for the soul's welfare should be the foremost consideration of every mortal. If we fail in this, we are failing in the fundamental principle of life, as well as in the first duty towards ourselves and towards our fellow men. Let us strive anew to consecrate all our thoughts and feelings to Him. He is the eternal among all fleeting things. He is the consciousness in all conscious beings. He is the one in the midst of many. He is who fulfills the desires of every heart. He is the source and sustainer of all, the giver of all good, the bestower of all blessedness. May He grant us steadfast devotion and kindle in our soul the consciousness of His loving presence, and we may never forget Him or fail to abide by His will. May He remove from our hearts all harshness, all egotism, all discord, and alien feelings, that we may live in Him in harmony, love, and peace. May His peace be upon us and upon all living beings. That is a great prayer, that may His peace be upon us and all living beings. With that prayer, we end today's episode and this book, Silence as Yoga. Hope you enjoyed today's episode also. Stay tuned to Devakshar. We will come back with more videos like this, more readings like this, and do subscribe to our channel, like and share our videos. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar.